Use the raise hand function to ask questions, and I will call on you. Greg?
Jeff, how you doing today?
Good. We're good.
I want to ask you about Antonio Parks. How has he sort of risen to become such a huge difference maker through the years? It seems like week after week he does more and more.
You know, he's just a very consistent player that he's mature. He understands the importance of practice. He never takes a rep off. He takes coaching very well. He's locked in at all times. He's the epitome of a perfect locker room guy, culture guy. When you're trying to build a program, you can't have enough Antonio Parks on your roster because he just buys into what we're coaching them. And he's just an example for all of our players every day.
How much is his versatility an asset for you guys, both really in terms of what he can do defensively, like playing against the run or the pass, and where he can play?
Well, he's a very bright kid, so he has the ability to learn a lot. He's very tough, mentally and physically. And he's got athletic ability. So those are some nice combinations. And he just keeps showing up, and he keeps getting better every day. And he's a joy to coach. I'd say he's a pleasant surprise. We just didn't know he was that good of a football player, and he keeps showing us he really is every day.
It seems you have a lot of guys in the secondary there who are really comfortable coming down and making hits, like they're in touch with the physical aspect of the game. Are you happy with that, and was that a process to develop with that group?
Well, it's one of the things we really hang our hat on defense is being physical. I hired a very physical defensive coordinator, and I have a very physical safety coach in Coach Lev. Coach Nix and Coach Lev are the epitome of the triangle of toughness, and their players play the way they're coached. They coach them hard. They love them hard. But they're an example of their coaches, and the buy-in our kids have on the triangle of toughness. It's not a coincidence that the very first thing we speak about every day is how physical, how tough we're going to be on defense. It's a mindset. It's something we're very proud of, and it shows up every Saturday.
Okay, Shihan, we'll go to you.
Hey, Coach, I'm writing a story on Sincere McCormick. And so, when you got here, was there kind of a point that you realized that Sincere was not only going to have a chance to play right away, but maybe have a chance to be a really special player right away?
We played a great high school program. Converse Judson has been putting out good players for many years. They have an amazing culture over there as well. So they're players that come out of there. They're in alignment immediately with what we're about over here. So it's a natural fit. Second, he's very talented, which that always helps as well. And he's a good kid. Third, he is a really good young man. He's very coachable. He wants to be coached every day. He starves for it. He wants to get better. He has a great attitude. He has a beautiful smile on his face every day. He's very intelligent. Again, very similar. We were talking about Antonio Parks earlier. If you have a locker room full of Sincere McCormicks, your culture gets to where you want it as a coach pretty quick.
From a game planning perspective, you guys have always had to cycle through so many different guys under center. How much does it help when you guys are planning out these games that you do have that consistency there in Sincere?
We don't take it for granted. We're very blessed. We're going into game 8 right now. He's been, the leader of our offense the entire year. And we're very blessed that he's been there. He doesn't miss a practice. You'd think at 37 carries on Saturday, he'd come in on Sunday walking around, he has juice, his shoulders are back, his scalps are pinched back together, a smile on his face, great spirit, great energy, and it's contagious. And it feeds to our team. He's an amazing leader.
With how do you prepare a kid to be able to carry the ball as often as he does? And I mean, especially for a kid who's only a true sophomore right now, a kid who's 19.
I teased them the other day about Bum Phillips and Earl Campbell. I think Earl carried it 40 times one time. They asked Bum about it. And Bum's response was, "That ball's not that heavy, is it?" And I gave him that analogy. He thought that was funny. Kind of a coincidence. I believe he won the Earl Campbell Award this week. So the analogy I used on Sunday, and he gets that award on Tuesday. Of course, I'm from East Texas, so that's a pretty big deal. Earl Campbell and the Tyler Rose, so that's pretty cool.
You know, heading forward, I mean, is there a guy that you've coached before that he kind of reminds you of, or what do you think he kind of has the potential to be? I mean, with 4 years in your guys' program.
I've coached some great ones in my career, but you'd have to go back to the 90s to the kid he reminds me of. He reminds me of a player named Richard Whitaker who played at Texas A&M, and I actually coached him in high school at Jacksonville. Richard was like him. He showed up all the time and was just a great, great human being, very humble and played hard. Body types were very similar. Their style of running was very similar. That's who he reminds me of. So you had to go back in the archives to think it was 96 or 97 when I coached him. Then he went to A&M, had a great career. And that's the same thing. That's who Sincere is. Just a beautiful smile, great back, runs behind his pads very well, shifty. And it's a joy to coach number 3 every day.
Last sort of thing, obviously him being a kid from San Antonio, I mean, obviously anytime you can get a star player is huge, but when you get a guy like that who's also repping his hometown, I mean, how big is that for this program?
It's huge. You see Marcus Davenport, he still loves us and gives us great support on Twitter. He made a great play yesterday for the Saints to win the ball game. But Rashad, Frank, there's a lot of them. Sincere, Hunter Duplessis, our kicker, Spencer Burford. We just got a lot of local kids, Brandon Matterson from Brandeis. They take great pride in that. They could have chosen to go somewhere else. And I say it all the time, to build a program, to have the opportunity to build your own program in your own home city is a very, very special thing. Coach Brown, our DFO, speaks about the original 18 all the time. He was on the first coaching staff here when they started. And that original 18 is very important to this place. And the local kids that stay here and help build this thing will always be remembered for getting this program going.
Hey, Greg.
Jeff, you guys put out a new depth chart yesterday, and it was interesting to see at left guard you had Terrell Haynes ahead of Demetrius Allen or Dominic Vestucci. I'm wondering, did Terrell do enough to show he earned a crack at that job going forward, or is it just a week-to-week evaluation for injuries, health, and things like that?
That depth chart is, how that is, Greg. I mean, by the time we get to Saturday, it's just who knows. But Terrell has earned that spot. That's not a coincidence that he was listed first. It's just we don't need. We work our 2s and 3s like they're 1s because they could be one test, and with contact tracing and injuries. I mean, it's there's a lot of chances that a kid is not going to play on Saturday. So we list them in there and we work all those kids. But Terrell, yes, to answer your question, Terrell has earned the right to start the game Saturday.
When you talk about those injury situations, we saw, and you mentioned this yesterday, we saw Rashad working, it looked like both shoulders at times during the game. How did he look in practice yesterday? What's his status going forward?
No, he's fine. He's ready to roll. He's a tough kid. He'll be good to go Saturday.
Hector?
Morning, Coach.
Hi, Hector.
Coach, wondering, Sincere, the fact that he leads the country in rushing, does that come up in conversation between you and him?
No, never. Now, our team takes great pride in it. They all know it. We really brag to them about being a part of that, but we don't mention it with him ever. We just talked to the team about it, but I've never spoke to him individually about it. I have a feeling he kind of knows.
And Coach, one of the things that strikes me, and I know you've answered so many questions about Sincere, not only the last couple of days and throughout the season, and rightfully so. But one of the things that strikes me is when you talk about Sincere, in addition to talking about what he does on the field, you're very quick to bring up the kind of young man he is, what he does before practice, before games, and so on and so on. There's not much, I guess, Coach, you can elaborate on, but it's just striking to hear what a special young man he is, and for being just a sophomore, and to have a guy like that as part of your program.
Yeah, it speaks volumes of just about the depth of the human that he is. He's deep for his age. He understands the bigger scale of life, and he's very grateful. He's just a joy every single day. And it's just a blessing to coach him. I wish I could give you a little dirt on him. There's just no dirt on him. He's just a good boy. He's a good young man with a beautiful smile that shows up every day, grateful to be here. And you can't have enough of those guys in your locker room, Hector.